With the Arizona Cardinals in 2025 ranked as one of the worst offenses in the NFL, do we truly have faith that the Arizona Cardinals coaching staff will be able to fix it before it's too late? And if this trend continues, is it truly the end of an era of Kyler Murray? All that and so much more. Let's dive into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering the Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. So subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. And we are giving away this Arizona Cardinals Nike Rivalry mini helmet by the end of this month. And yes, today is the last day, so if you want to go ahead and partake in this giveaway, go ahead and make sure you smack the like button and subscribe. We are on the road to 18K. Cannot do it without you guys. So let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to dive into today. We ended up hearing Drew Petzing speak to the media earlier this morning, talking about what can be done to fix the Arizona Cardinals offensive woes. And I'm going to be real with you, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of the stuff that we've been hearing has not been something that's going to make me happier, right? It almost kind of seems like we're hearing the same thing over and over and over again, and no specific results are being applied here on Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays for the Cardinals. So I'm going to dive into some things here that Drew Petzing ended up having to say a little earlier today. But I also want to go ahead and make sure that you guys are fully aware as to when I say the Arizona Cardinals are one of the worst ranked offenses in the 2025 season. I'm not just saying it, right? We have a lot of stats to actually back up that the Cardinals have not been very good in 2025. Let's go ahead and just take a look at this here real quick. Thank you so much, and shout out here to Fox Sports for providing obviously this information to us. I love taking a look at this, chart to kind of see where the Arizona Cardinals are at defensively and offensively. And right now, in terms of total offense, the Arizona Cardinals are ranked all the way here at the number 28 position. We're averaging about 270.5 yards a game. And that doesn't sound too bad, right? Especially when you specifically compare it to the Bengals, which doesn't have the privilege of having Joe Burrow. You also have the Titans with a rookie quarterback. The Eagles, which doesn't seem to throw the ball very much. And then you got the Steelers over there, which can't really seem to find a big-time connection with DK Metcalf. Although this last week is a little different. But the Cardinals right there are one of the worst when it comes down to building yardage and building sustainability on the offensive side of the ball. Now, if you take a look at the passing offense for the Arizona Cardinals, it's no shock that we're way down here at number 28. This is the total amount of yards average that we had for the past 4 weeks, right? We're only a quarter into the 2025 season, and we're ranked as one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Now, the rushing offense, which is supposed to be our bread and butter, we're ranked number 22. We're averaging about 105.8 yards yardage in a game. And that's mainly because Kyler Murray also uses his legs. A lot of this yardage is not coming from our running backs. James Conner, before he ended up going down, I don't think he exceeded more than 50 yards in any of the games that he ended up, playing. And then obviously Trey Benson's kind of one of the same, especially when he ended up taking over the workload for the Cardinals here in week 4 on Thursday Night Football. Now, of course, you've seen some big explosive plays here from Trey Benson that kind of really, made his numbers look a lot better than it is, but it has not been sustainable, right? The Arizona Cardinals offense has been very, very bad, right? Scoring offense, the Arizona Cardinals are way down here in number 22. We're averaging about 20.5 points a game, which is not very good for the Cardinals. And it's one of those things that is very, very unfortunate, to be honest with you. It's very unfortunate that the Cardinals are here in year 3 of a rebuild that was supposed to go in a completely different direction. Now, we've had the luxury of having 2 teams that are 1-3 and 0-4 in the first 2 weeks, which we ended up starting 2-0. And when the competition got a little heavier, the Arizona Cardinals offense continues to be stagnant and not very good. So I'm not coming out here and, saying some outlandish things. Per Fox Sports and a lot of different other articles out there, the Arizona Cardinals are one of the worst offenses in the entirety of the NFL. Like, it's absolutely unfortunate. Now, when you got a weapon like Kyler, a weapon like Trey McBride, a weapon like Marvin Harrison Jr., and I know he's got some flaws to his game, there shouldn't be any excuse as to why we're living in a world like this, especially we're in year 2 of Kyler and Marvin. We're in year 3 of Kyler and Drew Petzing, and this offense just looks not it, right? So we want to go ahead and take a look at some comments that we ended up hearing from Drew Petzing. Like I said earlier, he ended up speaking to the media, and these things that he ends up saying, man, honestly, I'm getting to the point where I honestly, like, if I wasn't covering this team, I wouldn't even bother listening to what he has to say. Like, I'm going to be real. Him and Jonathan Gannon, it's kind of one of the same. Like, it's kind of gotten to the point. The moment I heard Jonathan Gannon come out and say that Drew Petzing called one of his best games in week 3 versus the San Francisco 49ers was absolutely mind-boggling to me. And of course, I'm going to be listening to some updates, all the things that Jonathan Gannon has to say, but it's literally all the first minute of the things that I really truly need to hear in order for us to actually cover this team, because honestly, I think both these guys are just talking out of their you know what. But let's go ahead and dive into some quick notes here. Now, shout out here to Theo Mackey of AZ Central. He ended up having some posts that he ended up putting on his X and Twitter that I really want to go ahead and dive into, because like I said, this is getting to the point where it's getting really, really frustrating. Now, we do have the Titans, which is ranked probably one of the worst offenses in the NFL, and if the Cardinals don't absolutely dominate against them in week 5, we're going to have a very, very, very serious conversation after week 5. But the Cardinals probably will get a get right game, but that doesn't mean that the Colts, the Green Bay Packers, or maybe even the Dallas Cowboys are going to be easy wins, right? This is going to be a tough stretch for the Cardinals moving forward. And I know there's a lot of people that are not very confident in this Cardinal team to win more than 7-8 games this season. So let's dive into these posts. Let's go ahead and focus on to this very first one. Theo Mackey ends up putting out there that Petzing on the continued miscommunication between Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr. Quote, "It's something that happens pretty regularly if you look across the league. I know those two guys are working tirelessly at it, so it's not something that I'm overly concerned about." End quote. We are kind of now at that spot with this team that, like I said before, it's getting very frustrating to hear the lax nature of this coaching staff. Oh, it's not a big deal, right? We're not overly concerned, right? These comments that are being made from Jonathan Gannon as well as, Drew Petzing is gotten to the point where we need to start seeing action, right? And I'm talking about the Cardinal fan base as well as this, people that support the Cardinal. We want to start seeing some action here. We don't want to hear this lip service. We don't want to hear, well, it's happening around the league. No, we brought in Marvin Harrison Jr. as the 4th overall pick to this offense to make him a focal point. Now, yes, he's not your number one pass catcher. That is Trey McBride, but you thought there was a sliver of hope when one of the first plays in week 4 on Thursday Night Football was a quick pass over to Marvin Harrison Jr. And like, okay, now he's getting involved. Now, yes, he had a couple bobbles, which led into a interception, and he didn't have the best game of his career. Now, the second half was way better than the first half for Marvin Harrison Jr., but this is not one of those things where you got to shy away from your guy that you picked up 4th overall. You got to continue to build his confidence, continue to build in the momentum, and I just don't truly understand why this coaching staff has this mindset of, oh, it's going to fix itself. Oh, we're seeing these two work tirelessly to get this situated and, have all the confidence in the world that they're going to be able to do it. Now, it's not like we're talking about an offense that's, in their year 1 or year 2 where we can take these baby steps, right? We're talking about an offense that is in year 3 in the NFL. And not just that, Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. is in their year 2, and they still have very obvious miscommunication between the two. And I just don't understand how this is a big factor, right? Now, if this is one of those things where we've seen it like once every 4 games, I don't think people would be talking about it. But because we're seeing a miscommunication at least once or twice each game, this is where the frustration comes from Cardinal fans as to how Drew Petzing can come out here and say, oh, they're working tirelessly. I have no, I'm not overly concerned about it. That's BS. That's absolute straight up BS here. And honestly, I really want a coaching staff that's going to be able to hold these guys accountable and actually talk about how important it is to have them on the field and have this communication down, and how they, as a coaching staff, not just the players, are working tirelessly to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball involved early and fast. Now, we have heard that before, and they haven't done it, right? So, like I said, it's getting to the point where I just really don't want to listen to any of these guys. None of what they say on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays really equate to what happens in game day. And it's getting to the point where it's very, very, very frustrating. Now, let's go ahead and get over to this next post here from Theo Mackey. And this is Petzing on his overall assessment of the offense through 4 weeks. Quote, "You've seen it happen. You've seen it get rolling. You've seen it when we're operating at a high level, and we need to be able to maintain that for a long period of time." End quote. Well, no duh. No duh. I mean, obviously, right? Now, I don't know what he's talking about, that we ended up seeing this operating in a high level. I guess if you want to talk about the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter when you're playing a little tempo, I guess you can go out and say that and, hang your hat on that if you can replicate that, that can be something the Arizona Cardinals can be better at. Yeah, maybe, right? But like this is, like I mentioned before, this is year 3. How are we celebrating these baby steps? How are we celebrating all these little nuances that you should be already at least close to perfection? I don't think the Arizona Cardinals are even 75% of what this offense could potentially be. They're probably around the 55, 65% of where this offense can be. Now, we've seen flashes here and there of Kyler. We've seen some flashes here and there of Marvin Harrison Jr. And of course, Trey McBride, we know what he can bring to the table. But this is the situation that we're in right now. The Arizona Cardinals are not even nowhere near close to what this offense should be performing on Sundays, Thursdays, and Mondays. And that's one of the most frustrating things that I've seen, right? One thing I do not like is a coaching staff to tell me that, oh, this is what I see, this is what I see. No, I know what I see with my own eyes. And I'm seeing what Fox Sports is telling me week in and week out, that this is one of the worst underperforming offenses heading into their year 3 when the trajectory was supposed to be like this. And this is far from what the offense is doing for the Arizona Cardinals. There's some real serious concern amongst the Arizona Cardinals fan base that they're not going to be able to win more than 6, 7, 8 games this season when we're supposed to be in the double digits and hopefully a playoff berth moving forward. But as of right now, it's looking very, very bleak for the Arizona Cardinals if they do not fix what the big issue is moving forward. And now let's go and shift our attention here. Let me give a quick shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. That's going to be none other than Sleeper. The NFL is here, which means you now have a chance to 100 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Pick on stats for stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to 100 times a payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right, and you can win big. Use promo code AZSF, and you can get up to $100 deposit match on your first initial deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Everything will be in the description below of the video. But let's continue the conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about, is Kyler Murray's time or era done in the desert? Well, there's a lot of conversation right now amongst the Arizona Cardinal fan base that they do not like what they've seen from Kyler Murray within the past 4 weeks. Now, I'm going to come out here and sit here and say, is it Kyler Murray's fault that we're 2-2? Is it Kyler Murray's fault that, this offense can't get going? No, I don't think it's fully 100% his fault. I think it's got a lot to play into the play calling, the situational play calling from Drew Petzing, the game plan, the missed opportunities on the field, the lack of explosive, the lack of the run game, a very, very bad offensive line, specifically on the right-hand side of the line. I'm going to come out here and say this right now. Kelvin Beachum should be the right tackle, and when Will Hernandez is healthy, they should be an automatically, upgrade right there when you add those two guys right there. I don't know if the Cardinals are going to be putting Kelvin Beachum in over Jonah Williams unless he's hurt, but there's obviously a big need within that right-hand side. And when Will Hernandez is fully healthy for at least the foreseeable future here for the Arizona Cardinals, there is a real big issues all across the board when it comes down to the offensive side of the ball. And of course, Kyler Murray does have a little bit of play as to it as well. The dink and dunk is not predicated on the Arizona Cardinals offensive play calls, although there is always an out. Kyler Murray is the one that's throwing the ball and dinking and dunking across the field. Now, that's been happening since the beginning of last year as well, when he was actually fully healthy. I ended up saying this multiple times. This is a identity of a dink and dunk offense. And although it can work in the NFL, you can't make that your identity. And that's kind of what it seems like the Arizona Cardinals are. I get the conservative of put the ball where the ball needs to go, but at some point you got to throw the ball down the field and allow your wide receivers to make plays, and also your tight end to make plays, and Trey McBride as well. So we ended up hearing on First Take from Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Clark talking about, is Kyler Murray's ceiling met with the Arizona Cardinals? Now, there was very specific talks when it comes down to Kyler Murray. There's some people out there that don't believe that it's fully Kyler Murray's fault, which it isn't, right? I'm going to be the first to say it isn't fully Kyler Murray's fault when it comes down to these offensive woes, but there is a little bit of play into it as well. There's a lot of factors that are making this offense as terrible as it is, but we ended up hearing Stephen A. Smith as well as Ryan Clark coming out and saying that Kyler Murray's ceiling has been met with the Cardinals. It hasn't been met. They don't feel like it's been met with his career. They feel like he can potentially establish more and accomplish more with potentially another team, which of course opened up the eyes for some Cardinal fans saying that, hey, this can be a real possibility if the Arizona Cardinals offense or this team can't get it right at the end of this year. We might have some big blowups big conversations that are happening with potentially moving off of Kyler, potentially firing some regime players like Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing. Some people want to, also fire Monty Ossenfort. I think he might be safe because you don't really see GMs getting fired that quickly. But anything's on the table at this point. And honestly, I'm on board for everything, specifically if this offense can't get their stuff together by the time the end of the season comes into fruition. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people talking about Kyler Murray. Will he benefit being on another team like, let's say, for example, the Minnesota Vikings? I do think the Minnesota Vikings on paper are a much better roster than the Cardinals are, which is very unfortunate because, like I said, we're in year 3 of being built this team, and the offensive side of the ball has not had real much any upgrades, right? James Conner ended up going down. Trey Benson, there's kind of a scare about him not being potentially available here in week 5. We don't know how that's going to shake out, but TBD on that. But there's a lot of concern amongst this Arizona Cardinals offense, and rightfully so. We saw the stats. Everything backs it up to say this Cardinals offense isn't functioning the way that it should. So will Kyler Murray in this era of Kyler Murray be over in the desert? Well, if this continues to happen, and if the Arizona Cardinals don't meet their expectations, which a lot of Cardinal players ended up saying it's playoffs for them this year, there's going to be a lot of serious turnover when it comes down to this organization. And we can very well be talking about drafting a quarterback here in 2026, or maybe even looking for a brand new coaching staff heading into 2026 as well. So obviously, I want the Arizona Cardinals to figure it out. I don't want to go through another strip it down rebuild and what we've been dealing with for the past 2 years already. We've been through that in 2023. I don't want to go through that again. But unfortunately, they have not been able to fix the pieces as of late. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your overall thoughts here in the comments below. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day, and go Cardinals.